Good evening once again, football fans. Big Al here on this Tuesday night, or rather Wednesday night. It's December 13th, 2023, and welcome to the College Football Bowl schedule for the 2023-2024 College Football Bowl season. We'll run you through all the matchups in each of the 41 college football bowls, including the New Year's Six Bowl, the New Year's Six Bowls, rather, and the two bowls that will make up the college football playoff semifinals. And we'll also have some lower level playoff games to talk about as well. So let's not waste any time and jump right into it. And we'll start off with Friday, December 15th. You have a couple lower level playoff games happening that night. On ESPN2 at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific is an FCS semifinal game. Albany at South Dakota State. Tongue twister, sorry. With Jay Alter and Renee Eagle-Gila. At that same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on ESPNU, is the Division III championship game featuring Cortland and North Central with Noah Reed and Craig Halbert. You got a full slate of bowl games on Saturday, December 16th. The day begins at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on ESPN with the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Georgia Southern versus Ohio with Drew Carter and Dustin Fox. At 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on ABC is the Celebration Bowl taking place in Atlanta between Howard and Florida A&M with Tiffany Green and Jay Walker. At 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on ESPNU, you've got the Division II championship game, Harding versus Colorado Mines, with Sean Kenny and Charles Arbuckle. At 2:15 p.m. Eastern, 11:15 a.m. Pacific on ESPN is the New Orleans Bowl. Jacksonville State versus Louisiana Lafayette. That would be the Raging Cajuns in a de facto home game with Anish Sharath and Andre Ware. At 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC is the Cure Bowl from Orlando with Miami of Ohio and Appalachian State. Your announcers are Bob Wischusen and Robert Griffin III. At 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific on ESPN2, yet another FCS semifinal game with North Dakota State at Montana with Loa Galindo and Tioka Jackson. At 5:45 p.m. Eastern, 2:45 p.m. Pacific on ESPN is the New Mexico Bowl from Albuquerque as New Mexico State faces off with Fresno State. The announcers are Clay Matvick and Rod Gilmore. At 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific on ABC is the LA Bowl hosted by Gronk himself, Rob Gronkowski. It's UCLA versus Boise State with Dave Fleming and Brock Osweiler. And at 9:15 p.m. Eastern, 6:15 Pacific on ESPN is the Independence Bowl from Shreveport, Louisiana, featuring California and Texas Tech with Kevin Connors and Rocky Boyman. All right. Now to Monday, December 18th, and the famous Toastery Bowl from Charlotte. It is Western Kentucky versus Old Dominion. That's on Monday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. That's 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. Your announcers are Dave Neal and Tom Luganbill. On Tuesday, December 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific on ESPN is the Frisco Bowl from Frisco, Texas. Now, this is on the home field of the MLS soccer team there, FC Dallas. It is UTSA versus Marshall with George Sedano and Rocky Boyman. Skipping ahead to Thursday, December 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on ESPN, the Boca Raton Bowl, South Florida versus Syracuse with Matt Berry and Dan Mullen. On Friday, December 22nd at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific on ESPN is the Gasparilla Bowl from Tampa. Georgia Tech versus UCF with Wes Durham and Tim Hasselbeck. Then got another full Saturday of bowl games on the 23rd, starting at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on ABC with the Birmingham Bowl, Troy versus Duke, Tom Hart and Cole Kubelic. On ESPN at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, it's the Camellia Bowl from Montgomery, Alabama, Arkansas State versus Northern Illinois with Courtney Lau and Hudson Mason. At 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC is the Armed Forces Bowl from Fort Worth, James Madison versus Air Force with Anish Shroff and Andre Ware. At 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ESPN, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl on the Smurf turf in Boise. It's Georgia State versus Utah State with Chris Cotter and Mark Herzlich. At 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on ESPN, you have the 68 Ventures Bowl from Mobile, Alabama. South Alabama versus Eastern Michigan with Taylor Zarzar and Matt Stenchcombe. At 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ABC, it's the Las Vegas Bowl from the Death Star with Utah and Northwestern. Your announcers are Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy. And at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific on ESPN, it's the Hawaii Bowl from Honolulu, Coastal Carolina and San Jose State with John Schifrin and Orlando Franklin. There are no games on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, so we'll jump now to Tuesday, December 26th. And ESPN will have a triple header that day. It all kicks off at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific with the Quick Lane Bowl from Ford Field in Detroit. It's Bowling Green versus Minnesota with Connor Onion and Dustin Fox. Then at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, it's the First Responder Bowl from Dallas with Texas State versus Rice. Your announcers are Dave Neal and Aaron Murray. And rounding out the night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, is the Guaranteed Rate Bowl from Chase Field here in Phoenix. It's Kansas versus UNLV with Beth Mullins and Kirk Morrison. Then you have 4 more games coming up on Wednesday, December 27th. At 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on ESPN is the Military Bowl from Annapolis, Maryland. Virginia Tech versus Tulane with Jay Alter and Renee Igogila. At 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific on ESPN is the Duke's Mayo Bowl from Charlotte. North Carolina and West Virginia. Your announcers are Matt Berry and Dan Mullen. At 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Fox is the Holiday Bowl from San Diego. It's number 15 Louisville versus USC. No announcers have been named for this bowl game. I'm assuming it's probably going to be Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt. Then at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on ESPN is the Texas Bowl from Houston as Texas A&M faces off with number 20 Oklahoma State. Your announcers are Roy Philpott and Roddy Jones. Then you got 4 more games on Thursday, December 28th. At 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on ESPN is the Fenway Bowl from Fenway Park in Boston. Number 24 SMU versus Boston College with Chris Cotter and Mark Herzlich. Then at 2:15 p.m. Eastern, 11:15 a.m. Pacific on ESPN is the Pinstripe Bowl from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, featuring Rutgers versus Miami. Drew Carter and Rod Gilmore. At 5:34 Eastern, 2:34 Pacific on ESPN, you've got the Pop-Tarts Bowl from Orlando. Number 18 NC State versus number 25 Kansas State with Anish Sharaf and Andre Ware. Final game of the night is at 9:15 Eastern, 6:15 Pacific, also on ESPN, and that's the Alamo Bowl from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. And a good matchup here between number 14 Arizona and number 12 Oklahoma, with Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, and Cole Kubalik. All right, moving on to Friday, December 29th, we have 4 more games. At 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on ESPN is the Gator Bowl from Jacksonville. Number 22 Clemson versus Kentucky with Wes Durham and Tim Hasselbeck. At 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on CBS is the Sun Bowl from El Paso. 19th ranked Oregon State versus number 16 Notre Dame. Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson. At 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ESPN is the Liberty Bowl from Memphis, with the de facto host, the Memphis Tigers, facing off with the Iowa State Cyclones. John Schifrin and Rocky Boyman. And at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on ESPN, the first of the New Year's 6 bowls, and that's the Cotton Bowl from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Number 9, Missouri versus number 7, Ohio State, with Dave Pasch, Dusty Dvorak, and Tom Luginbill. All right, then you got 4 more bowl games on Saturday, December 30th. At 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on ESPN is another New Year's 6 bowl, the Peach Bowl from Atlanta. Number 11 Ole Miss versus number 10 Penn State, with Mark Jones, Louis Riddick, and Quint Kessenich. At 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on ABC is the Music City Bowl from Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Auburn versus Maryland, with Taylor Zarzar and Matt Stinchcomb. Then you have another New Year's 6 bowl kicking off at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on ESPN, and that is the Orange Bowl from Miami. Number 6, Georgia versus number 5, Florida State. Joe Tessitore and Jesse Palmer. And then at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific on the CW is the Arizona Bowl, coming to you from Tucson. It's Toledo versus Wyoming, and there is no broadcast team announced for that bowl game. All right, so New Year's Eve is on a Sunday. There are no games, so we'll go straight to New Year's Day. Monday, January 1st, at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on ESPN2 is the ReliaQuest Bowl from Tampa. This was formerly known as the Outback Bowl. This year, it's Wisconsin versus number 13 LSU, with Brian Custer and Rod Gilmore. At 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on ABC, it's the Citrus Bowl from Orlando, with number 17 Iowa versus number 21 Tennessee. Dave Fleming and Brock Osweiler. At 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on ESPN, is the Fiesta Bowl from Phoenix. Number 23 Liberty versus number 8 Oregon, with Bob Wischusen and Robert Griffin III. And then you've got the college football playoff semifinals. The first of those games is at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on ESPN. It is the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. Number 4 Alabama versus number 1 Michigan from Pasadena, with Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. The winner of that semifinal will advance to the national championship. Likewise, with the winner of this second CFP semifinal game in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans between number 3 Texas and number 2 Washington at 8:45 p.m. Eastern, 5:45 p.m. Pacific on ESPN, with Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy. On Sunday, January 7th at 2 p.m. Eastern on ABC is the FCS championship game from Frisco, Texas, teams to be announced. And then the winner of both the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl will play for college football's ultimate prize in the College Football Playoff National Championship game from NRG Stadium in Houston, which is scheduled for Monday, January 8th at 8:45 Eastern, 5:45 Pacific on ESPN. And the announcers will be Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. And that is a look at the college football bowl schedule for 2023-2024. All right, we will be back live on Monday with another look at the NBA and NHL standings and all the games playing in both leagues over the following week. So join me for that. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and enjoy bowl season. Peace out.